So I've done a lot of gigs in my days. I've been all over the world touring with my music. And there's a certain type of show that every artist who writes their own songs loves. An intimate audience, like this kind of, that all came out to hear your songs and your music. But this particular show I'm about to tell you about was not quite like that. It was a little different. So I walk into the room, and it's empty. Nobody's there. One lady reading a magazine. We give eye contact. I smile and nod. And by the look on her face, I can tell that she's not expecting live music at all, right? So I go into my little corner of the room where I'm expected to set up my merch table, and I do have merch at the back. And I'm also supposed to have a makeshift stage where I'm gonna perform from. And I'm like, this is gonna be a long day. So I get into my music, and usually when I start my sets, I do an original song. I wanna, present the audience with something that I do, something kind of like this, all right? Carry me away, my Lord. Bring me to a peaceful land. Take me where the honey flows. Lead me by familiar hands. It's all I know. You make me feel alive again. It's all I know. You make me feel alive again. Something like that, right? And that song's off my debut album. It's called We Made It Through the Wreckage. And usually I start off with that, and then I go into some more original songs. And I'm feeling that the show is gonna be a painful one. But as I start playing more songs, more people start walking in the room, start trickling in, filling up seats. But there's just one particular lady, an older lady. I won't call her an elder lady, but she's an older lady. Sits down, and throughout the whole set, every song, just yapping, talking. And one thing people don't realize is, actually the awkward thing about her is that she was the most enthusiastic after every song, clapping the most, but she's talking the whole time, right? But one thing people don't realize, she loved the set, and I'm like, why are you talking then, right? But one thing people don't realize is that in live events where there's music, storytelling, poetry, or whatever, the minority always rules. So no matter how attentive, engaged, and quiet the majority of the audience is, one loud and obnoxious person can ruin it for everybody. So don't talk during shows. But she decided to talk. And I'm like, you know what, I'm losing my crowd. She's distracting everybody, taking me out of my zone. And I say to myself, I gotta do something to get this audience on my side and to hush the crowd. So I'm gonna do a cover song. And I said, I'm gonna do a song that everybody probably knows and go right into it, right? And hopefully when they hear this, they'll pay attention, all right? She was more like a beauty queen from a movie scene. Said, don't mind, but what do you mean? I am the one who will dance on the floor in the round. She says, I am the one who will dance on the floor in the round. She told me her name was Billie Jean, and she caused a scene. Every head turned with eyes that dreamed of being the one who would dance on the floor in the round. So I finished that song, and the audience is with me. I win the crowd. Y'all with me, right? And I win the crowd. This microphone is leaving me. I win the crowd, and they're all with me.
It's okay.
I'll put it back on. And I noticed at some point during my set, a young Asian guy, about 20 years old, walks in. And as a visible minority myself, I stand out sometimes. And I notice other minorities in the room because they stand out to me. So I notice this guy, he walks in, very casual looking, probably his first year university, sits down, and he's into the music. When I play Billie Jean, he's nodding his head and bopping his head. And not too long after that, a young lady walks in. Short skirt, long brown hair, very inviting smile, beautiful girl. But But she's not smiling at me. She's smiling at the Asian guy, right? And I won't call him the Asian guy. It's kind of racist. But smiling at my friend, my student friend. And she sits down beside him, grabs his hand, holds his hand, starts cuddling with him. I'm not thinking anything of it. You know, she's just cuddling with him. And then I keep playing more songs, and then they just start sucking face, slobbering all over each other. And I would call my music passionate. I would call it honest. I would call it genuine. I would call it emotional. But I wouldn't call it make-out music. Right? It's just not that romantic, you know what I mean? I write like songs for relationships. It's not like, you don't make out at my shows. People don't buy tickets to come and make out, right? So they're making out, and I'm trying desperately to stay focused, right? And I'm like, is nobody seeing this except for me? And apparently I'm the only one who's paying attention to this, right? So I managed to get through my set, and everybody loves it. So people come up to me, and they're like, you know, great job, you know, shaking my hand. And my friend comes up to me. I'm gonna call him my friend, is that okay? My friend comes up to me, girlfriend's gone, and he says to me, you know, he's kind of timid, kind of quiet, very shy, and you can tell that English is not his first language. He spoke English very well, but you can tell that he was raised speaking either Mandarin or Cantonese. And he says to me, you know, hi, you know, I was just wondering if you'd be interested in. And as soon as he said interested in, I get all kinds of requests from shows. After performances, people want me to do all kinds of, you know, you should apply for Ellen, the Ellen Show, or The Voice, or something like that. Or people say to cover some obscure song that I've never heard of by some guy who died homeless from drinking turpentine. Or, you know, do a Maroon 5 song, or something like that. You know, something crazy like a Maroon 5 song, right? And I don't like requests, you know what I mean? I like doing what I do. I'm an artist, but my spidey senses are tingling with him, and I'm like, what is this guy gonna ask me? So he surprises me. While their public display of affection was the first time for me, he surprises me with something. It's the first time. He says to me, I was just wondering if you'd be interested in writing my girlfriend a song, right? As a songwriter, you would think I get that request all the time, but this was actually the first time someone asked me that. And like I said, I'm an artist. I write when I'm inspired. I don't like to write on demand. And I'm trying desperately to find a way to get out of this. I'm like, it's not really my thing. I don't really like to do that kind of stuff. And he's like, I'll pay you. And I'm like, how much? Right? And no word of a lie. He goes into his pocket, pulls out a wad of cash. All bills. And I'm thinking he's gonna give me just like, $50, $100, I don't know. And he starts counting out these bills. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, $900. Puts it in my hand, he's like, it's $1,000, okay? I'll give you the other 100 when the song's done. Right? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this dude's not all there, is he, right? I was like, I can't take this guy's money. So I'm looking around, I'm like, is anybody noticing this, right? Where am I right now? So I want to say no, but I'm Canadian. I can't say no, right? So I take the money and I say, okay, if I'm going to write you a song, we got to do this right. So tomorrow we meet up, and me and your girlfriend will talk. And I'll get to know you. I want to write a good song. Can I get a glass of water, please? I want to write a good song. So I'm thinking to myself, this is an awesome way to start a 3-day trip from Toronto to Vancouver as the artist on board of the Via Rail train in the first class, right? So it's amazing, right? So I'm like, okay, so we walk off on our ways. I go to they give me a sleeper class, right? It's in the middle of the train. And I notice that he goes into one of their newly renovated, thank you so much, newly renovated first class suites. Very beautiful. And I'm like, okay, this guy's not crazy. He has money, all right? So and next day comes. So I have another show, and we arranged to meet up at 8 p.m. I have a show before that in the economy class on the other side of the train. I get there, and it's a small crowd, about 5 people, but it's perfect because everybody's engaged. They want to hear me sing my songs. Like, I give them a choice, cover song or original. Like, original. And I get to talk to them, they get to talk back to me, I get to know them. And it's a great set, very different from the other one, but it was great. And by the end of the set, my friend and his girlfriend come, and we're all smiling, and we sit down, and there's this awkward silence, and we're just all smiling. And I say to them, so what's your story? Tell me about yourselves. How did you guys meet? So my friend, his name is Jackie. Jackie is about 20 years old, I believe, and he is working for his father. His father is a developer, meaning that he owns property all over the world. So I believe they have property in Hong Kong. I know they have property in Toronto and Montreal. And his father has been grooming him from a very young age to take over the business. And he's very smart, and he's very focused on this career. And I guess with his career, he wants to get some time off every so often. So he goes to a massage parlor. And Joanna, she's about 19 years old, and she works at this massage parlor that he frequents, right? And when I say massage parlor, a spa, it's not the type of spa your grandmother or your mom or your aunt go to. This is an adult spa, right? And you're probably wondering, was it a full-service spa? And the topic came up. It did, I swear to you, it came up. However, there was no happy ending, right? This is what they told me, at least, right? No, and I believe them, because they looked like they were in love. And what Jackie told me is the reason why he appreciated Joanna so much is because when he would talk to her about business and about his career, she reciprocated with logical answers, and she knew business, and he gravitated to that. So he liked her for that, and they've been traveling from Portugal all over the world on this train, and I got the privilege to meet them and hear their story. What I also learned is people like to talk to me. They like to just tell me all their stuff, and they just told me a lot of stuff. And what I learned is that Jackie's father, this is an angle that I thought was really interesting, because I'm fishing for content for my song, right? And he tells me that his father is very traditional, very strict. I get the sense that he's very strict, and he wants Jackie to focus on the business, right? And I wondered to myself, my father's quite similar to that, very strict. Anybody who has like a cultural background, most of our parents are like that, very strict, very traditional. They want you to do what they want you to do, right? And I latched onto that point of view because I'm like, not every day do we meet a girl at a spa. All the men out there, I don't know I've never been to a spa. This is on camera, so my wife will see this. I've never been to a spa, and I've never met a girl at a spa. And with all due respect to her profession, it's just a peculiar story. Is that fair to say? Right? So I was thinking, if I brought a girl home like that, what would my father say? So I latched onto this. And I didn't have a story right away, but I knew that I wanted to sing this song from Jackie's perspective, right? And sing it to Joanna. So we're all happy. The conversation's going on, and Jackie says to me, no rush. Here's my number. Here's Joanna's number. Just sing this, write the song whenever you write it, and just contact me whenever. It doesn't matter, right? So I'm like, okay. So, and then he says to me, and who knows, one day you might be singing at our wedding, right? So, who knows, right? So I'll tell you this part. So I don't immediately write the song. The trip is finished. I get off in Vancouver. And the irony of the story is that when I get off in Vancouver, I have a few shows out there. So I'm starting my second leg of my tour. So me going on the train was taking me from Toronto to Vancouver. And I already did the East Coast leg of my tour for my album that I have called We Made It to the Wreckage. And then on the West Coast leg, I was coming back from the West back to Toronto. And in Vancouver, my luggage, the wheel on my luggage broke on my way to the airport. So as I'm trying to get on, I woke up really early, and I'm like, I'm gonna take the train to the airport. My luggage breaks, and I'm dragging this oversized luggage to the airport. And my suitcase, I missed my plane out of Vancouver to Calgary, right? So I have to buy Air Transat. Don't fly with Air Transat, worst airline. Please don't. So they won't budge. They won't let me get on the plane. I have to buy a new ticket to Calgary. And when I get into Calgary, I got to buy new luggage. But luckily, I had $900 in my pocket, so we're good, right? So this is the song, and I wanted to write a song that I felt, if I'm going to write this, I could sing this song for the rest of my life, it's a song that I could transport myself into and relate to myself. Because I don't like writing songs unless I can see myself in the driver's seat of this song. So this one's called The Architect's Hand. And I know he's not an architect, he's a developer. But the developer's hand didn't really have the same ring to it, right? So this is actually the first time I'm ever playing this, and this is The Architect's Hand, all right? From the architect's hands, Father drew me his plans. I built a palace in Addis, walls of Casaloma, temples in Shenyang. Studied all of the wonders from the time I was younger. Then you came as you are, found a place in my heart. I knew those days were numbered. I was ruling out, I'd ever find my cornerstone. Ever since you've been around, I've had someone to call my own. I have made a name and built it up across this globe. But I tear it all down if you and I could build a home. In my Father's footsteps, I have learned from the best. Don't want to shatter the dreams He has laid down for me, but it's time I confess. Everything I worked for, just a revolving door. And underneath the marble arch, you fell into my arms. You were mine, I was yours. I was ruling out, I'd ever find my cornerstone. Ever since you've been around, I've had someone to call my own. I have made a name and built it up across the globe. But I tear it all down if you and I could build a home. That's where the strings come in. Ever since you've been around, I've had someone to call my own. I have made a name and built it up across this globe. But I tear it all down if you and I could build a home. From the architect's hand, Father drew me his plans. I built a palace in Addis, walls of Casaloma, temples in Shenyang. So you're probably wondering, what Jackie and Joanna thought of my song. I messaged him after I got into Calgary, got no response. I messaged him when I finished this song, I got no response. And I realized I didn't message Joanna. So I messaged her this weekend, and I did get a response. She said it's awesome, she wants to hear the song as soon as possible, but they haven't heard it yet, and they still owe me $100. So thank you guys so much. I'll be around tonight. Come catch you in the back.